Hello, good evening, good day, good morning, wherever you happen to be. This is the third episode of the Mobuku Chronicles, and it's April the 16th, 2011 AD. Now, I'm not going to go over what's happened over the past month because a great deal has happened, and essentially nothing has gotten better. Essentially, as far as the world situation goes, there's more unrest, political unrest, rioting, demonstrating in various parts of the world, and the money situation deteriorates. And as I said, I think this is all deliberate. So, what I have done personally is implement a threefold strategy to neutralize, one, the machinations of the ruling brotherhoods and the criminal power elite who act as their front, and number two, to totally emancipate ourselves from that. And number three, to start working toward what is the healthy social strategy. Because everything, as I said in one of my previous installments, episodes, the point about these episodes is this: if you come into these episodes without having seen the first ones or the prior ones, because there's two before this, and there will be more to come, then it behooves you to go back and go through each episode from the beginning. Because this is like a book. I'm writing a book here. This is actually the sequel to this book, The End of Medicine, which is available, and I highly recommend you get it, because this is the Mobuku Chronicles is essentially a sequel to this. And the strategy, the threefold strategy, the number one, which I implemented first, was the one I'm going to tell you about tonight. And number two is the what I told you in the previous episodes or installments episodes, to buy gold and silver and just to keep accumulating it. And you don't worry about the price. Don't worry about the price. Just buy it, accumulate it as fast as you possibly can. And the third part of the strategy is spiritual development. So I'm going to start talking, and this might take 2 or 3 episodes or installments, about the strategy of emancipating ourselves from the web of error of modern scientific medicine, which is a trap, which has got everybody totally and utterly shackled, completely shackled. Now, what I'm going to do is contrast and compare a way of eating based on macrobiotic principles, which I started in 1975, and compare and contrast that with the standard American dietary intake of meat and potatoes and sugar and chemicals and alcohol and whatnot. In terms of the practical outcome of these two ways of eating. Now, the vast majority of the world eats the standard daily fare of meat, potatoes, and eggs, and butter, and cream, and sugar, and alcohol. And the result is writ large upon the world. And I will go into that. But the macrobiotic way of eating is engaged in and adopted by a very, very small minority of individuals around the world. Now, the macrobiotic way of eating, way of living, is actually the most consummate answer and response to what is going on in the world today. And I will illustrate this. First of all, one of the major problems with food today is the cost. And the costs are going higher all the time. And like last week, I bought a 25-pound bag of brown rice, medium grain, organic, and it cost me $39, which works out to about $1.59 a pound. Now, I can remember 10 years ago buying that same 25-pound bag of medium grain organic brown rice for $19. So it's doubled in 10 years. And this is about to double over the next 2 years, because the inflation, that means the increase in prices, priced in debt dollars, is going to double over the next 2 years. So it's very important for us to be able to keep our costs down so that we can maintain our standard of living, which is really the essential purpose of doing all this. I mean, my interest in this is to maintain my standard of living, because I think that the macrobiotic way of life is the highest standard of living imaginable or possible for any human being on this planet at this particular time. And I want to maintain that. So, our food costs, that is my wife and myself, I looked at these over the last couple of years. And this does include eating out, dining out. You know, I mean, we go out maybe twice, 3 times, maybe 4 times a month. And we go to our favorite cafe probably 2 or 3 times a week. So these costs include those. So in 2008 to 2009 year, we paid $382.58 a month for that. And not surprisingly, it went up in 2009-2010 to $411.86 a month. Now, I went online to find out what the average American family of 2 pays for their food. And the latest data I could come up with was 2009, and it was $343.70. And that did not include dining out or alcohol. Did not include that. So based on that, and that was 2009, we can assume that make the inference anyway, that the way of eating of the standard American dietary intake is high compared to eating a macrobiotic way of eating. In fact, we don't eat a totally strict macrobiotic way of eating, but if push came to shove and we had to narrow our dietary intake to just eating whole grains and vegetables alone, which we have done in the past, you know, because I recommend that when people first start going out on eating and adopting the macrobiotic way of life, that's what they eat, nothing but whole grains and vegetables and, you know, miso and pickles and so forth and so on. And that substantially cuts your food bill down. In fact, I did a survey about 3 or 4 years ago, and there was one person there, a lady, living by herself, who was eating a strict macrobiotic diet because her condition warranted it, and she was paying $100 a month for food. So, the fact of the matter is, no, $100, yeah, $100 a month. I think it was. Anyway, you can cut it down substantially. I reckon that most people can cut their food bill between 30 and 50% by switching over from a meat and potato, quote-unquote, dietary intake to a macrobiotic way of eating of cooked whole grains and vegetables. Once we've made the initial outlays. Now, that's only the half of it. Because one other consequence, major consequence, of eating a macrobiotic way of eating, and doing your own cooking and studying yin and yang, and which is why you need these. I have a set of 10 DVDs, 2-hour lectures on the principles of the macrobiotic way of life and various tools that we have that help us to emancipate ourselves from the medical trap so that we become our own inner-directed physicians. And we don't need the medical system, which can't help us anyway, except just to, give us pills. And what good does that do? So, and that is, we don't pay health premiums. We don't pay insurance, health insurance, at all. I haven't paid health insurance since I started doing this in 1975. Not at all. Now, I went on the web also to look this up, to find out what, because I have no idea, not having had any occasion to have any health insurance, because the macrobiotic way of eating, macrobiotic way of life is our